This is Candace with another video on the Possum Stamps YouTube channel. Today I'm going to be making this Halloween shaker card, so let's get started. So I'm going to start by using the new Witch's Lair stamp set. This is super cute and has so many fun Halloween images. I'm going to use the little witch and the cauldron to make my scene today. So I'm going to start off with a piece of cardstock, and I end up cutting this down quite a bit, but I wanted to just get these centered. So I'm starting with the cauldron, and I'm going to stamp that because it's going to be in the forefront. I'm going to then stamp the witch, and I'm just going to make a little mask so no part of her stamps into my cauldron. And what I'm going to do here is some lazy masking. I took my tracing paper and I'm just seeing where that broom is going to stamp, and I'm going to cover that with some post-it notes, and that's going to make sure that the broom doesn't stamp down because I didn't want her broom to be in my cauldron. I kind of wanted it to look like she was throwing things in and making a bit of a potion. So once I was happy with how that was, and as you can see, she has no hand, but don't worry, we're going to fix that later. I took my masks up, and then I'm going to come in with the Witch's Lair add-on, and I'm going to get this really fun crystal and stamp that so it looks like she's kind of throwing crystals into her potion. Then I'm just going to take a Copic multi-liner and draw in the end of her sleeve and give her a wrist, and it looks pretty similar to the other hand, so don't be afraid to adjust your stamps to get new life out of them. So then I'm going to come in and do some Copic coloring. I'm not doing anything super fancy here. I'm just using a few different tones to kind of add to her dress. I wanted to make her dress purple because I don't know why, but I feel like that is a very witchy Halloween color to me. I always think of purple, green, and then orange, but I also wanted to choose colors that were going to go with the Spooktacular Bats shaker mix that I'm going to use inside of the cauldron, which you'll see later. And there's a lot of purple and orange in there, so I wanted to kind of play on those colors. While I have my purples out, I'm going to color her little stockings and make them purple and green and add a little bit of green to the hat. And then I'm going to come in and color her hair very simply, just with some browns. I kind of colored this witch to look like me. I don't know why, that was just my inspiration for today. And I'm not doing anything super fancy. I'm just putting some darker tones towards the edges and then lighter towards the center, just so there looks to be some dimension. I really like the size of the stamps that Possum always has because they're not too big where they're intimidating, but they're also not too small where it's really hard to color. So I think that they're a perfect in-between ground, and they still make for a really nice scene, which I love. So I'm going to come in and color her hat and then her shoes and the crystal at the end, which I used orange, which seems a little bit out of place, but it's because it's going to match the shaker mix that we're going to use. And I didn't color inside of my cauldron, which you'll see why here. So once I was done with my Copic coloring, I'm going to come in with an X-Acto knife, and I'm just going to cut out that cauldron. And I'm being super careful. I'm not the greatest with this, but if I can do it, you certainly can. And it's nice because this is very simple lines, so it's not too hard to cut. You could also use scissors if that's more comfortable for you as well. So once I cut that out, I am going to keep this. Don't throw it away because we're going to use it for something after. To make it look a little bit more clean, I'm coming in with just a water-based black marker to color around those edges, and that's just going to make it look really nice and finished. So off camera, I cut down a card base, which is about 3 1/4 by 4, and I also cut down some foam, which I put behind my main panel, and then I used that piece that we didn't throw away and kind of put it into the puzzle piece, and then I'm using that to trace around with my pencil, and then I cut my foam. So that's just an easier way to not have to get pencil on any part of your card, and I did the same thing with my card base. I just put that little puzzle piece in, and then I drew onto my card base around it, so I'm going to have a template for where I need to color my potion. So I started off with one idea and it changed gears along the way. I wanted it to kind of look bubbly, so I started putting bubbly lines, then I realized that looked really weird, so I just kept coloring and adding color, and then I decided I was going to put some little circles to kind of make it look like there was bubbles in the cauldron. So I just used a few darker oranges, and then I came in with my colorless blender and added some dots as well. I really liked how that looked, so I was like, hey, why not add more dots with darker colors? And then I just got a bit carried away, and I thought I had totally ruined it, but then you'll see in a second I get the front of my card and I kind of look at it and I'm like, hey, that doesn't look too bad. And the thing is, it's going to get totally covered up almost by all of our shaker bits anyway, so it worked out being fine. So now I'm going to add my acetate behind my cauldron, so I'm going to have a shaker pouch kind of in there. and making sure that is nice and stuck down, and then I'm going to come in and stamp my sentiment on the front. So I decided to go with the sentiment that says "Have a wicked birthday." I thought that was a really great birthday card for somebody who has a birthday near Halloween. Then I'm going to come in with some double-sided tape and I'm going to put that on both of the sides of my foam piece. You could also definitely use foam tape. I ended up double stacking my fun foam, so I just thought it was a bit easier to use double-sided adhesive instead of glue or foam tape. And I added that to both sides, and then I'm going to come in with the Spooktacular Bats sequin mix, which is so fun. It has so many cute little things in it. It has some bats, some polymer clay little stars that are orange and purple, as well as some really big gems, which is why I used 2 pieces of fun foam just to give those enough room to move. And then I'm going to come down and stick the front of my card there. For the last thing, I drew some little bubbles in pencil, and then I'm just coming in with my eraser to make that pencil line just faint enough that I can see where it is, but it's not going to show through my Copics. And then I just put my lightest color down, and then on the bottom right, I'm going to add some of the darker color and kind of blend that out just to make them look like fun little bubbles that are coming out of her cauldron as she's mixing her potion. To freehand these bubbles, the Witch's Lair stamp set has some really cute little bubbles and star stamps, but I didn't think it fully through in the beginning and I didn't have quite enough room for them, and I was scared to put this back in my Misty and mess up any of my stamping, so I just thought it was easier to freehand it with my Copics. I'm ending off by adding some white gel pen highlights and adding that to the bubbles as well, and there we have the final card. So I hope you enjoyed this take on my Halloween shaker card, which incorporates a shaker within a stamped image. As always, we appreciate the time that you spend here. Don't forget to give this video a like and subscribe for all of our future inspiration, and I will see you in another video. Bye!